Avengers Infinity War was such a thrill ride, but it left us with a lot of unanswered questions. One of those questions was, how could Groot lift up Thor's hammer? Well, it turns out Stormbreaker is much different than Mjolnir, and the Russo brothers themselves have a simple yet effective explanation for all of this. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with CBR and ring that little bell to become a part of our notification squad so you never ever miss a video. Without further ado, here's how Groot can lift Thor's hammer in Avengers Infinity War.
His power has no equal. As a weapon to destroy, or as a tool to build.
We know it was all the way back in 2011, but if you remember, back in the movie Thor, Odin, the then king of Asgard and protector of the Nine Realms, puts the worthiness enchantment on Mjolnir before banishing his son Thor to Earth. Throughout the movie, we learn Thor is more than worthy of wielding Mjolnir. His journey to be worthy of the legendary hammer is actually one of the main points of that film. The hammer enhances the God of Thunder's powers, making him one of the strongest Avengers. Now, what's interesting about Mjolnir is that the only one who could move it is supposed to be its wielder, Thor, but he's not the only one capable of lifting it up. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Vision also had the power to lift up the weapon. Now, he didn't do enough with the weapon for us to see if it enhanced his powers, but it still caught a lot of people by surprise. In the movie, Tony Stark says he was able to move Mjolnir around because he's not human, so the rules of the hammer probably don't apply to him. This makes a lot of sense, but it was never confirmed by any sources as the reason why. We'll just trust Tony on this one. Later on in that movie, we even see Captain America, Steve Rogers, slightly nudge the weapon with his bare hands. In Thor Ragnarok, Mjolnir would be destroyed by Thor's sister Hela, leaving our hero without a weapon until Avengers Infinity War.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
As strong as Mjolnir was, Thor knew he needed a stronger weapon if he wanted to challenge the Infinity Gauntlet wielding Thanos. That's why he forged Stormbreaker from Uru in the heart of a dying star on Nidavellir. If it wasn't for the Guardians of the Galaxy finding him in space, who knows what would have happened. In Nidavellir, along with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor caught up with the giant dwarf, if that makes any sense at all, Eitri, played by Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage. After Thor took the brunt of a dying star and forged Stormbreaker, Eitri claimed it was the strongest weapon in Asgard history, capable of enhancing Thor's powers even further than Mjolnir. The only problem was that he misplaced the handle. Instead of searching the entire dying star, Groot decided to take matters into his own hands. He grasped the red-hot metal pieces with one of his arms and cut it off to serve as the handle. Groot was clearly in a lot of pain, but his sacrifice was worth it. With his new weapon in hand, Thor joined the Battle of Wakanda where he performed admirably. One of Thor's blows was the only one which caused some visible damage to Thanos, but it didn't hit a vital spot, so the Mad Titan was left unscathed. We imagine that Thor is probably kicking himself from that missed opportunity. With all that being said, how the hell was Groot able to lift Stormbreaker off the ground? Isn't the God of Thunder the only one capable of doing that? Well, apparently not. During a voodoo viewing party for Avengers Infinity War, co-directors Anthony and Joe Russo let us in on some important information through Twitter regarding both of Thor's hammers. It turns out that there's a major difference between Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Mjolnir requires worthiness to be held while Stormbreaker doesn't. The worthiness enchantment from Odin was only placed on Mjolnir, meaning Stormbreaker is off the hook. While that explains how Groot was able to move Stormbreaker, it leaves us with many more questions. Does Stormbreaker have any requirements to be held, or is it just a really strong hammer that could only enhance Thor's abilities since he's the king of Asgard? It might just be an Asgardian hammer, or it might need strength and willpower to wield.
Your father killed my brother. Oh boy.
In Avengers Infinity War, Thor warned the Guardians about the hammers on their ship, saying you simply lack the strength to wield them. Your bodies will crumble as your minds collapse to the madness. Groot was able to pick up the weapon, so his power might actually be level with Thor, which is one hell of a scary thought. We'd love to see Thor and Groot team up and kick some ass. The thing is, while Groot was able to grasp the weapon for a bit, he was clearly in pain, so there's no guarantee he would have been able to use Stormbreaker effectively. If Groot actually tried swinging that hammer around, it might have affected him in a really bad way. We also don't know if Stormbreaker would have enhanced Groot's abilities like it did for Thor. Groot might have to be an Asgardian god of thunder for it to do that. All we know is that Groot was strong enough to hold the hammer up and live to tell the tale, which is still quite the feat since his body and mind were supposed to crumble according to Thor. Maybe Thor himself thought Stormbreaker also had Odin's worthiness enchantment. The Russo brothers answer one question and 20 more pop up. In the end, we have to thank them for taking the time out of their busy lives to answer the difficult questions. In a tear-jerking moment, we see Groot turn to a pile of dust at the end of Avengers Infinity War, but he did mutter some last words. "I am Groot." Yes, we know that's what he always says, but when asked what Groot's last words actually meant on Twitter, Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn let us know that the cute little guy actually said, "Dad," referring to his relationship with Rocket Raccoon. Hopefully, we'll get to see Groot rise from the ashes and showcase his incredible strength and willpower in Avengers 4. If any of the living Avengers could wield Stormbreaker, our money would be on old Cap Steve Rogers.
Nothing.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Is there any other reason why Groot was able to lift Stormbreaker? Do you think anyone else is strong enough to lift up that weapon? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to CBR to keep up to date with all of our videos. Thanks for watching.